since I learned that thing, remember I was telling you about the thing about if you speak to yourself, if you talk to yourself, it helps your memory. Was I saying it to you or to Aga? I don't remember.
Well, it obviously doesn't work, does it?
Fail. No, it must have been Aga then. No, but there's a thing in your head where, if you just try and remember something, because you don't vocalize it, it only remembers it in one place.
Right,
but if you vocalize it, then it remembers it in two places. It's like this thing, I used to have a little bit of OCD. Well, it comes back every now and again with locking doors and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what you're on about. Maybe you did discuss it with me. Where you go, I'm locking the door. I'm turning the key.
Yeah, you can do that, or else you can kind of knock on it. You can just touch the key like 2 times or something.
Right.
So instead of driving back from, 45 minutes away to make sure you close the fucking door, you say, oh no, wait, no, I remember because I touched the key. And it works, it definitely works.
It does.
That I didn't have a big OCD, but it was annoying. I remember one time I drove home from work. I was parking the fucking car, and I went, fuck, I forgot my wedding ring. I'm like, who gives a fuck about my wedding ring? I drove home and got the fucking wedding ring. Now I haven't worn the wedding ring since the pandemic started, because you're not supposed to wear rings because of viruses and stuff. No.
Nice. I don't wear my ring just because it, same as watches or anything, it ends up, you get that kind of skin thing under it.
Tommie. That's why you're
slut. I don't want anyone to know.
Yeah.
No, I get if I wear a watch or I wear a ring or I wear anything, it aggravates my skin. But it's not that I'm allergic to the metal or anything. It's that the sweat thing, because I corrode everything, and it kind of just it builds up. And even if I take it off, what happens then if I start washing it all the time is that then I get a soap thing. So I can't wear any of that stuff.
No, don't bother then.
Yeah. Spud, this is our anniversary.
Happy anniversary to me and you.
It's actually 2 days away from now, but that's the way it is. So what I thought I would do is I would ask you a number of questions so that people after a year might get to know you a bit better. What do you think?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Let's. Thanks for preparing me for this, Tommie.
I want to say that there's no fun in it. Remember years? Remember? No, there's grand questions. Years ago in Hot Press, where they'd have that kind of Hot Press is a music magazine in Ireland. And also a place where you store water and music. It's like in the same way that MTV is a music channel.
Yeah.
But they used to have these like 10 questions that they'd ask everyone. What's your favourite, place to eat, all these kind of things. So it's similar to that. So we'll start, and I have 100 questions, but I'll say we get to about 6 before we get bored with this. So we'll write
100.
Yeah. What's your favourite sweet?
All of the Cadbury's Heroes.
That's not a favourite. That's I suppose it's all coming to 10.
The Malteser one.
Okay. What's your favourite song?
Oh, Jesus, that's impossible.
What's your favourite song today?
Stairway to Heaven.
What's your favourite food?
Oh, I don't know. Aga makes a pretty fucking mean lasagna. Gonna go with that.
Okay. Favourite drink?
Beer. Guinness.
Favourite band or artist?
This is like the existential question.
Today.
Led Zeppelin, yeah.
Favourite movie?
I don't have a favourite. Do I have a favourite movie? Was it Darren Aronofsky has a really depressing one, Pi, where he drills a hole in his head. I love that film. Yeah. That's great, but it's hard. Like you can't watch it with anyone because they're just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What's your problem?
Why are you watching this?
No, Super Troopers. Super Troopers is hilarious.
Right.
I like
the two most different films you could possibly pick there. Although maybe on one level they're similar. Favourite book?
Oh my! Not No Country for Old Men. The other one, Blood Meridian, Cormac McCarthy.
Favorite restaurant? Do you remember restaurants, or do I think that exist anymore?
I don't think that. I think it's gone. There was one on Dame Street in Dublin called Il Trocadero. I think that it was called,
I don't know.
An Italian one. It was lovely. I think it's gone now though, but that was amazing.
Did you ever eat in Govinda's? The Harry Krishna one.
Where's
on
that?
George Street.
On George Street. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah.
Walking in with a friend of mine, Sarah, and she was full on vegan back in the fucking, when was that? 2001 kind of thing. We walked in and was like, they've no chicken. What's going on? No, this is a vegan restaurant. A what? What's a vegan? They're like, it's vegetarian, but like no meat, no eggs, no cheese. I'm like, what? What is this?
Why would you do that?
I'm from rural. Like we kill pigs for breakfast. Thing. Like what's going on here? Oh no! But the food was not filling. It was good.
Oh, really? The thing I think about Govindas is that it's the most filling thing you will ever... Like, you have two options. You have a small plate and a big plate, and it's like £3 in the difference or whatever. But they actually, on the small plate, like, it's proper, like, lumped, like it's a mountain of food you get or whatever. So maybe it's changed in recent... Because the whole thing...
look, it's 2001, like, since I was
But
there.
it's like it's spiritual food, so they want you to have loads of it because it in some way will, convert you to the wonders of Krishna.
There's one, I know it's not here, in the old city used to call, what's it called? What the... Not Soto Bhajans, what the... Fuck, what is it? Gold pig. No, not gold pig. It's what the Osho, gold donkey it was called. And that was a nice place. Another vegan place as well. That was good though, yeah. Anyway, yeah, so...
I think Govindas is strictly vegetarian, not vegan, because they're big into their cheese. No.
Oh, okay, maybe. I don't know.
Right, this is the most important question of all of them. This is, who's your favourite person?
Tommie Kelly.
Yeah, you said. Right, the next one start getting into what's your favourite hair colour, and I'm sure you don't care. So we'll go to the big one. If you were on a desert island and you could only bring 3 things, what would you bring? And that'll end this impromptu Q&A. I don't think people know you any better than they did before we started that.
I don't have one, but I'd bring a Kindle. I'd bring an MP3 player, or like the Apple player thing. What's it called? The iPod with the biggest one. Because they don't even make them. I'm doing it. No,
I don't think they make iPods anymore. Maybe they
iPod. Do they not? I have one, an 80 gig one. It's amazing. And solar thing that for power to make sure I could read and listen to music. That's about it, really.
Fine. You probably need a lightning charger and a USB charger and a USB.
They come in the box. Like they obviously
not the new Apple stuff. They don't.
Yeah, I've seen that. Did you see that? There's something hilarious about the new. They're launching earphones that have a wire between them, and they're selling them for like $400 or whatever. It's like, how do they get away with this stuff?
Because people love Apple. It's just this. It's a cult. It's a cult.
It is a cult. It is a cult. It's definitely a cult. Yeah. Yeah. If you have to ask if something is a cult, the answer is yes.
I'm not sure if this is a cult or not. Yes, it is. Then that's your proof. That's your proof.
No, it is. Yeah. What is this? Yeah. It is. Because it's that thing of it finds itself in itself, or the opposite is in it, or isn't that it? The thing, the two sides of the same coin, kind of thing.
The lesser is found in the greater, and the greater found in the lesser.
Yeah, exactly. This hermetic thing, isn't it?
As above, so below, all those things.
Yeah, it's where it comes from, isn't it? Hermeticism's probably the start of that, wasn't it? Or maybe earlier.
Well, it's if considering we didn't know the timeline between Hermeticism and Buddhism last week, we'll just say at some stage it was all part of everything. It's definitely popularised from Hermeticism. Anyway.
What's the difference between non-duality and monoism or monism? It's the same, isn't it?
No, because monism is still... It has a figure. It has a thing that you're saying it's one of, whereas non-dual is kind of doesn't come in. It's kind of trying to point that kind of idea doesn't exist. If that makes sense.
No,
at least that's my understanding. Right. So you can non-dual is saying there's no such thing as numbers, and monism saying no, it's just one, and non-dual saying that you can't think that way. It's not.
Okay. Yeah. I was watching a video yesterday about how he was comparing the law of attraction and surrender.
Oh, right, okay.
And he came up with this kind of way to fit them together, even though they're two quite different ways of looking at things, And
is it the art of allowing? Is that what he came up with? Because that's the usual answer to that in the law of attraction.
No, he was kind of saying that the law of attraction is a part of surrender that is basically a person who isn't ready to realise the power of surrendering yet.
Oh, right, okay.
So they're still kind of, I want the stuff, But then when they get the stuff, then they'll be like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm happy. Here, I had something mad the other day. This, you spoke to me about this before, but it was just between the two of us, and it's with that rash on your thing.
that's embarrassing.
No, sorry, couldn't resist it.
It's about that affair you were having, Spud. Was that conversation? Was that?
With the bald man. Yeah, he looked like me. It was getting weird. It was like fucking myself. I didn't like it. Do you know what I mean? Well, I liked it, but I didn't like it enough to continue it. It was it freaked me out. Like, you know what I mean? Oh God. Yeah, because of this.
Bye.
You were telling me ages ago that you were doing a meeting with the man who sponsors this podcast, Alan Chapman.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You felt this transmission.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll say, yeah. And, like, it's something that they talk about they mention it in the 3 books quite a lot. I think the first book starts off, they went off to this a lecture by a Buddhist
Andrew Cohn.
Yeah, him.
Who definitely did start a cult and was in a cult. No question. There's no question of it. He's like, absolutely, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they went to a lecture by him, and they both felt this transmission, which is when you meet someone who's enlightened, some of it passes on to you. And then Chapman goes on later on in the book, maybe it's the next book, he's sitting on the what do you call it? The metro in London. What do they call it?
Subway.
Tube. It's a fucking weird name.
Subway, whatever, yeah. The underground train thingy.
The train that goes under the ground. Tube. What the fuck? Why would they come up with a name like that? Why didn't they call it like the Jerry Lee, like in Dublin? The Jerry Lee Lewis, which is a fucking great name.
Called? I've never heard that. I've never heard that. That's brilliant.
So he talks about this Asian man, Indian, or I don't remember, Indian or Pakistani man gets on, and he just
in an oversized suit.
In an oversized suit, and Chapman looks at him, and Chapman gets this like this enlightenment moment. Not a bliss thing, but it's just oh wow. And he writes about how he felt that because this man was enlightened, he seemed to catch some of it, you know?
Yeah, the way he describes it then subsequently is that he could see that the guy was looking round everyone as if he was looking through them, almost as if you can picture what a god sitting there would look like. But he obviously caught eyes with Alan at some point, and had a look at him, seen right through him. And I think the kind of thing with transmission is the idea is that it brings you to the level that it's as far as you can go as a student. So you're never going to get as far as the teacher. But that so if you have
until
the potential,
you're the teacher, is that right?
Well, I mean, you're going to progressively get better and better and better. But so is the teacher, so you're not going to catch them. But it's that whatever, say your understanding that you could have now. It's not saying the understanding you have now, but the potential of your awakening that you have given where you are.
Yeah.
That's as far as you can go, which is still going to be, an amazing experience or whatever, but it's not you're not sharing in what the teacher's actually sharing, if you know what, or having.
I get you. It's like So he has a full sandwich bag. You have a triangle.
That's it, because all you can fathom or understand.
All you're able for
is the sandwich. Yeah,
it's a triangle of the strawberry jam sandwich.
Or one of those train sandwiches, where they have the ham cut in half. It makes you look like you get 2 slices, but it's actually just the one. That's how they get you.
So come here. I was in the hospital the other day. I have to get these asthma tests done. And they wanted to take some blood for asthma. God knows fucking why. I have no idea. You just go along with it anyway. And because everything's on Corona lockdown now, I walked in and there's a security guard. And obviously I got lost in the hospital, as everyone does. Mm-hmm. And I went to the wrong place. I found this place. I ended up at the morgue.
As you do.
Totally freaking myself out, just going, what am I doing here?
Did you have a little peek at any of the bodies or anything?
No, get the fuck out of here. I was like, this is not a good sign. I do not want to see the morgue in the hospital. It's like doom and gloom. It's like, this is where I'm going to fucking end up. Obviously, this is where we're all going to end up. But anyway, so I came back out and see, my first mistake was I asked the security dude where to go, and he told me to go into the first door, but I didn't go into the first door. I went to the second door, and the reason I didn't go into the first door, because when I was walking up to the first door, it's the A&E department, right?
Okay.
And it's in big letters there, not A&E, it's in Polish, whatever, and COVID-19, action emergency. And I went, no, it's not in there. Can't be in there. So I'm going to go next one. Well, it turns out it was in there anyway, because they've totally moved A&E to the other side of the hospital. There's soldiers and everything, man.
Right.
Like I did go looking for a lab, and your man's like, yeah, no, it's not here. And I was like, Jesus, you're a soldier. He's like, yeah. It's pretty serious, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Bye. And so I came back then to the first place, and there's another security guy there. I showed him my letter, and he's like, yeah, just go up to the chemo lab. And I went, what?
This wasn't the day I thought I was having.
He's like, yeah, go to the chemo. Oh, okay. This for blood test. Yeah. And what? Am I sick? And and so I went up anyway, and queuing in Poland is quite nice sometimes, unless it's in public. Okay, if it's in a doctor's or it's in like
I kind of go, are you queuing at home?
No,
is there some sort of queue system in the Murphy household?
Like if it's shops or stuff like that, and everyone stands too close together. But like at doctors and libraries and stuff like that, everyone stands around, and it's a common thing for like older people to walk in. And this is what happened to me. An older guy walked in. Well, no, before that, I went in, I sat down, I kind of surveyed where to sit, and I went, okay, well, there's a free, I'll sit down here anyway. And so I got out my book and I was reading away, and next thing a man walks in, and he's like a big kind of roly-poly guy with a big belly, and like he can see a bit of the belly hanging over the waist. Like a big lad, you know, but he looks cuddly, like he just he's a nice man he is, you know. And he had those like 1980s aviator glasses on. And he had like a flat cap. It just seemed like a fucking nice man, you know?
Yeah.
And it's fairly common for like older people to be like, who's next in the queue? And so everyone looks around, and then everyone looks at me, and then I look at me, and I went, it's me. It must be me. Yeah, that's me, yeah. And then he looked at me, like, just looked into my fucking soul. And he said, I'll sit close to you then. I was like, okay, cool. He likes me. La, 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 la. So anyway, so he sits down, and I can't I've tried to write this down even, and I've tried to explain it to myself, and I haven't been able to do it, so I'm going to try once more and probably fail. But he sat down and opposite me, and he had a briefcase with him. He opens up the briefcase, and he takes out this... do you ever get like a poker set, and for holding the cards is this kind of leather pouch?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it was one of them, but it was a book, okay?
Right, yeah.
I've never seen anyone like carry a book. Look, you can bring a book in your briefcase, whatever, but then it was in this leather-bound thing, and he opened it up, and the pages were... gold on the side of the page, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like a hardback book that had been coloured gold.
Yeah.
And so he's getting stuck into this book. And then I realise... I was reading the Bible.
Right,
and I went,
right.
This is amazing. Oh my God. This is fantastic. And I just went, my head just... Honestly, I felt like, I can't explain it. It felt like my head exploded, and I had this huge smile on my face. And thank God I had a mask. We all had masks on, obviously. But thank God, like I felt like I was sobbing. I felt like my mouth was like that. Like I was like just overwhelmed by this...
Bliss.
No, not happiness. Just, I can't put it into words.
Well, bliss doesn't mean happiness, of course. Now, serenity, I suppose, is our
illumination.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
that's what I felt like. I felt alive and
connected,
one and happy. Maybe not happy, but just I'm where I'm supposed to be, and this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Like you think about it, I'm in a chemo lab and I'm getting blood tested.
In a pandemic, surrounded by soldiers.
Surrounded by other sick people, and Spud's just going, this is fucking amazing. The guy is reading the Bible, and he loves me, and everyone else loves me, and I love all of them, and this is how it's all supposed to be. And I just went, yeah, okay, I can die now, I'm all right. You know?
Wow.
It was just a weird feeling.
So you reckon that then that sounds like, transmission, if there ever was a transmission story, considering unless he pulled out the book that was the secret of life, it'd be a bit more, it would be a bit more right on the nose there. But
what's Oprah's one, the secret? No, but it was like, I don't know, I just like maybe he was a priest or a monk or something like that. There was just something. This man had a lot of serenity.
Right, yeah.
There was a lot of goodness I don't know. I could just feel this man is.
And did you try talking to him or anything, or we just didn't
do you know what
need to?
I did because, but I did and I didn't. Well, I did. I said something to him, but like, I got called then to go in. It's just a blood test, whatever. So I go in and I'm asking, or she takes the blood, and I ask her, look, what's the story with the results? When do I get them? How's it done? Is it over the internet or do it come back? She said, no, come back to the thing. Da, 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 da. And when I was leaving, then I was in my head going, I have to say something to this man. I have to say something just to kind of.
Are you Jesus?
Like acknowledge this happened, even though like I'm still on cloud nine. I'm fucking elated here, you know. And like I wasn't woozy from the blood around because it's only a fucking vial of blood. It's not, you know. And so like I'm just like, whoa, the angels are fucking singing in my fucking ears, kind of thing. And I'm walking back, and I start putting on my jacket and clothes, and I left them out there, and then I just turned around to the man and says, you can go ahead there now, you're next. And he looked up at me and, oh, that was quick. And I went, yeah, it's pretty quick, so goodbye. And I walked off.
Thanks for the buzz.
And then he said goodbye. It's a Polish is a very formal kind of language. Like you can walk into a room when there's 20 people at like a doctors or whatever, and you're supposed to say good day, and some people will say good day, and some people will just whatever. But it's the same. You say goodbye to the room kind of thing. So I said goodbye, and he looked at me and said goodbye, and I was like, wow, this is lovely. So I just left. I don't know how to explain it. I just
yeah.
I don't know, but it's very similar to what he wrote about.
Yeah, it is. The two kind of. There's one very definite one that happened to me, and then one kind of I had a more of a bliss state thing that happened. That was with Alan Chapman on the retreat I'm doing with him at the minute on the first video. It was kind of that kind of sense of, oh no, this is exactly the way it's meant to be. But it wasn't anywhere near as intense as yours was. The other one was when I was at the Stuart Wilde lecture in Glastonbury, and something happened where I was looking at him and I zoned out completely and was, I don't know where I ended up. I was in somewhere completely different, and his face started changing into different faces, and it was only more after I came out of it that I realised that there was just something really weird happened there. And he acknowledged it. He said he bred out, let it bred out, and went, a moment of peace.
Yeah.
So he'd obviously paused, or something had happened as well. But that wasn't accompanied with a bliss, or whatever the right word is for that. You know, the strength. That was, I had disappeared. I didn't exist as, you know, that kind of, there was no recognition of an I. It was just, you know, it was just a thing happening.
I get you. I totally get you, because I felt something similar at that as well. It's that, like, even though I felt like this is where I'm supposed to be and this is everything that there is right now, it kind of felt like, how to explain this now without sounding cuckoo bananas?
Just go with it.
It kind of felt like Spud took a step back, yeah?
Yeah.
And there was just what was left. There was nothing trying to make sense of it and be logical about it. It just was. You get me?
I suppose just awareness.
Yeah. Awareness. That was it. And I was just like, wow, this is mad. Because, like, you know, I've been kind of fretting about this thing, because like it's just a test for asthma so they can figure out what they can give me. But like I went in to see the doctor, and it's a doctor I don't know, and she's like, oh yeah, we need an X-ray straight away. I'm like, what? Why? I just no, but like no. I was like protesting. I was like, no, I just want a new inhaler. That's all. No. We need an X-ray for cancer. What?
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? Like, no, well, you know, it's just because she said the word fucking cancer, and so I'm freaking.
You're in the chemotherapy ward.
Yeah.
All the signs are there. Everything. The symbolic universe.
And then, like, no, but it was and just like. I'm just building up too much into it, kind of thing, you know, because it was just like, it's a total precaution thing. They're just like, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
To get all these exams and all out of the way and stuff. So
also, I suppose because you don't come back and go, well, you know, I came here and I had cancer and you give me an inhaler. Now come on, lawsuit. There's an element of that.
Of course. So it's a bizarre moment, a bizarre day. Like in a waiting room in a hospital for just someone reading the Bible.
Isn't it interesting? Remember in the anniversary talks that Alan Chapman talks about, he had an incident. Now, obviously, he was in a sense given he wasn't getting transmission in that when it was the someone he interacted with it. I don't, it's hard to know what you're allowed to talk about and stuff like that. But the hospital seems, because he was talking about like this kind of, I suppose it's a weird liminal kind of space, or like and then you have the extra thing of where you was in a waiting room, which is a liminal space within a liminal space. So it's kind of, if you want to look at the microcosm and the macrocosm kind of element of it, it's the perfect place for that kind of thing to happen. You also have the life-death thing, the transition, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, maybe there should be more meditation centres in hospitals or something,
Maybe, man. Maybe. Why not? Yeah. That film that we're going to talk about is really good.
Yeah. We want to get into it now, or have we other things?
We're half an hour in, yeah. Because I sat down to put it on last night, and I was like, I said it to Aga. She said, yeah, I'll watch it with you, grand. I said, yeah, Tommie's on a bit of a Buddhism buzz lately, so we'll watch this. I thought the film was about Buddhism. It's
no,
Buddhism at all.
Well, there's the people that are interviewed, there's kind of some people that you would see more in a Buddhism documentary. We'll talk about what it is, I suppose. It's called CrazyWise, which is interesting because one of the documentaries did a couple of weeks ago was called Crazy Wisdom, which was about Buddhism. So I came across this video ages ago. Remember when we were doing the Jack Parsons?
Yeah.
And we joined up Gaia for an hour and a half just to watch that. It was very heavily kind of pushed on Gaia. You could see, when it would be in like Netflix where it has thriller and it's, and the next one is comedy and then it's family movie. It's the same movie. Yeah, it's the same film. Yeah. So it's kind of something like that. So I could see, and I thought that was an interesting kind of poster and stuff like that. And the poster and all that would give you the impression that it's a completely different film than what it is. Like, there doesn't seem to be any connection between the DVD cover and the thing. Well, at least I can't see. But so I'll read the blurb. There's a long one and a short one, so I'll go for the short one. Crazy or wise? The traditional wisdom of indigenous people often contradicts Western views about a mental health crisis. The documentary CrazyWise explores what we can learn from people around the world who have turned a psychological crisis into a positive, transformative experience. And so it essentially follows two people, doesn't it? So it's Adam and, I don't know how to pronounce your one's name, Ikaya. So let's go with that.
George.
So it's kind of the whole premises of it is that we have decided that all mental breakdowns, sicknesses or whatever are, I suppose, purely material in nature because we're a materialist society and we have, we've brought science has taught us to look at the individual pieces that make up rather than the whole. And so we've kind of lost a holistic approach. And so we try to, if someone has a nervous breakdown or some sort of mental problem, we send them to therapy and give them loads of drugs. Whereas the point of the film is kind of saying that in all other cultures or in some other cultures, they have a more holistic approach where they go, this is possibly more a spiritual crisis or an initiation or whatever. They don't use that word, but that's kind of pointing at it. And it would be treated in a very, very kind of different form than we have. You like this? I've just a lot of it I didn't like, and more in the. I agree with its kind of premise, but I think the two, or particularly the example of Adam, doesn't kind of prove its premise. I think it kind of, in the sense, it's the opposite.
Yeah. Adam has a strange arc as the on the hero's journey, because he gets somewhere and fucks up and gets up again and fucks up again and gets up again and fucks up again and just is. And
you can just kind of feel that after, a week after the documentary's finished, that there's going to be the next. And he starts off where he has a kind of for some reason he just can't cope. He has like a psychotic break in that he starts thinking that he's worked out, I suppose, the universe by this very simple mathematical equation that he's come across, which is something I've definitely seen people do. That particularly when I was adminning CMG, which is the Chaos Magic group on Facebook, it was 20,000 people, and you would come across people who would start putting up these pages of mathematics. That's I've worked it out. I have it, and and it's not enough times to know that. Whoa, hold on, that needs. We need to look at this guy in the sense of there's something. So he comes up with this kind of thing, and he's trying to explain it to his parents, and whatever, to go for all the different type of help that they can, and he's on all the different medication, and he talks about that thing where the antidepressants, like the very first thing that it says, the antidepressants is that can induce suicidal adoration or thoughts or whatever it is, which it is. It's very high up in the thing. I know myself that when I was on antidepressants, that the reason I had to come off it is because it increased my, I went from being depressed to, kind of in a sense, and I don't want to kind of, I was going to say candy coat or whatever, to start thinking about just like killing myself a lot of the time. But it's weird in that it doesn't feel yourself doing it or something. There's just kind of this intrusion of this thought that's constantly there, whereas it's not you coming up with the idea. Well, for me anyway, it's very odd.
That's weird. No, I used to take, I had awful fucking acne when I was a young lad, teenager, and I was put on something. And I'd struggled with it for ages and been on creams and treatments and yada, 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 yada. And eventually I found out that there was this drug that you could take that cleaned it up like within a day or two.
Right.
And I begged to be given this thing. And I was finally given it, and it worked the fucking charm, man. There was no spots. It was great. But after about, I don't know, a month or something on it, my ma came into me one night and she's like, yeah, I think we'll take you off then, will we? Yeah, okay.
All right.
Because it's after clearing up, isn't it? Yeah. And she only told me a few years later, she's like, they had noticed that my mood was just gone.
Right.
They were worried. They were worried about me.
Yeah,
they were worried about me that I had gone so quiet and so into myself that they thought something. Now, obviously, I came off them and the spots came back, but whatever. I didn't kill myself. So
Yeah.
I suppose suicide's weird. I have a funny one for you. It was the first night I did magic mushrooms. We were in a place called the Palace. Or Planet Murphy's was downstairs. The Palace was upstairs. We were in Planet Murphy's part, and I got like the whole stereotypical wavy hand thing. I ended up.
Have you ever really looked at your hands?
I was the only person on the dance floor at like 9:30 or something. First person on it, and I'm standing there just looking at my hand go. I ended up kissing this amazing girl. All my friends were mad.
Maybe. Would you know?
all the lads were, all my college mates were not college mates, flatmates, housemates were all mad into her. And she did this typical thing that girls do where it's like, well, he's the one who doesn't like me, so I'm going to go with him.
Just like a cat.
Yeah, so I had no real interest in this one. I was off my fucking nut on mushrooms. But anyway, so snog this girl. What did we call her? We call her, what did we call her? Carlsberg footballs, we call her. Because her boobs were just like, you remember those, the free little mini football?
Yeah.
Six Carlsberg. They were exactly that shape. They were just perfectly. Anyway. So I'm coming home anyway, and I get to Harold's Cross Bridge. I walk home, and I decide I'm going to sit up on the bridge, and I'm just sitting there, my feet are dangling. It's a high enough bridge. It's fairly fucking high, and I'm sitting there dangling my feet off, and I'm having a fucking wonderful time. I'm off my chops on mushrooms. Next thing, this taxi pulls up and says, Here, you alright, bud? You alright? Like, yeah, man, I'm great. He's like, you're not going to fucking jump in, you're not going to fucking kill yourself, are you? I'm like, no, man, no, it's all groovy, it's all good, like. No, because, like, it's not fucking deep, man. If you jump in, you'll break your fucking legs. And he's like, do you want to lift? He was so worried about me. He's like, where do you live? I was like, the Harold's Cross. He's like, well, this is Harold's Cross. I said, yeah, but up around the church. Like, do you want to lift? I'm like, man, I've only have like a $5 on me. No, for free. I'll bring you home. I'm like, okay, yeah, grand. So I got in the back of the taxi and he drove me home and everything was fucking wonderful, I was like, what a lovely person, He thought he was saving my life, but I was just fucking off my head on mushrooms,
Yeah, he is a very different story of the night he was a hero.
He's like, Jesus, I saved this fucking Wexford lad one night, lads. He was a fucking idiot, But like, suicide's an awful thing, because I was watching this thing and like, there were so many moments of it where I felt like empathy or compassion or whatever for my mate Seamus, who I used to do the podcast with. And it was something interesting that Morgan wrote on one of the Discord channels as well. He said he used to work in a psych ward or psychiatric hospital. I don't remember. Well, it doesn't matter the words he used. And one day he asked the doctor, look, what's was something like, you know, what's the difference between a schizophrenic and, you know, a normal person and everything? And the doctor's answer was, well, with a schizophrenic, the voices that they hear tell them to do harm to themselves or others. So it's like for me, that's kind of mind blowing, because it means that we're all schizophrenic, but what's termed as a schizophrenic just has harmful voices, whereas the rest of us just have either our own kind of inner monologue or a few different kind of things.
But here's the thing:
on,
I've read, and I don't know if this is true, but I've definitely read that it's a Western phenomenon that the schizophrenia leads to the bad voices. That when it appears in other cultures, that it's not quite, you know, it can be good voices, or, you know, not quite. It's definitely not, doesn't have the evilness or something. No, I'm not a doctor or whatever, so I don't know. But I have read that. I'm not just making it up.
But like that could be where fucking like Carl Jung comes up. It could be part of the active imagination stuff, because like I was telling you before, last week we were talking about, the week before, where it's that like if you identify, say, you've spoken before on plenty of videos about the victimhood thing. You know?
Yeah.
So Carl Jung would say, right, you can talk to that person in active imagination, and you can say to it, right, give yourself an identity so I know who I'm talking to, and then he'll take on like the role of whatever. Like I did this with suicidal thoughts, right? Because I get them every now and again as well. I'm no different than anyone else. But every now and again, and so I said, right, who are you? And he took on the form of this Japanese samurai, and I went, that's where I'm getting it from, because they have this.
Sepkun,
Exactly. They have this thing, and it says, right, what's your name? And he says, Shamo. He's like, okay, Shamo, like Michael Jackson, Shamo. And so I spoke to him in my mind, in my imagination.
Hold on. Shamo the samurai, really?
Pretty kind of sick cartoon, man, you know. And Shamo, and so I did this active imagination with him anyway, and just kind of got to the bottom of it. And there's a very interesting thing in the book. They say that to bring the two sides of to bring the ego and the subconscious together, you need to do a ritual. Okay. And so you need to come to an agreement with this thing, entity, energy thing that you've spoken to, what you're going to do. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to fucking go out under the full moon with all your robes and fucking black candles and all that stuff. And I was like, right, I just sacrificed the beer. I opened a beer and poured it down the fridge. And that was, I can tell you more about it off the thing. It's a bit personal, but like it just kind of shows that for me, watching this video and reading that book, the dream interpretation and active imagination, it's made me more comfortable with confronting different stuff in your head, you know, because most people are like, oh God, I shouldn't think about that, and block it off, you know, but it's going to come to the surface eventually, because the more you block off something, the more it's going to fight back and get your attention anyway.
Sure, yeah.
So if you're getting a bad idea, or if you're getting something that's lousy that you shouldn't do, you know, you shouldn't tell your neighbour to fuck off. Like, be nice to him, you know? Well, you know what I mean, like, just because you're in a mood or something. You should say, right, why am I in a mood? You know, what's that thing in my mood what's that thing in my head that's making me feel cranky? Right, get to the root of it, you know? And then do this little ritual where you're like, right, whatever it is, like fucking buy a lottery card, or get a lottery card and tear it up before you fucking play it, or something, you know? Just something that's symbolic, that says to your subconscious, right, I've done that thing, me and you're on the same page now, for a while anyway, you know? Yeah.
Really it's two things. It's very like EFT in the therapy I went to, where you personify the thing, you know, and it, particularly if it's a bad thing, like the critic, which we all have, you know, and it can be rampant in personalities like ours, that you know, you have to tell it to go, you know, fuck yourself. That's the only way, is to have this assertive anger. So it's the same type of thing. Without the ritual bit, and the ritual bit that you're talking about, that definitely attracts me as a magician or whatever. That I go, I would need that kind of thing. The other thing it's similar to is, of course, you know, the sponsor, the god of this podcast, Alan Chapman's the binding practice in Marcio, which is the same. It's uncovering, naming the thing the same way. You know, who are you? What is this? What is this role? And then, you know, trying to find it out. Which I suppose, in a sense, the ritual bit that you're on about at the end of the active imagination process, the ritual bit in the unbinding or the binding practice, is also the process.
Yeah.
So you know that the ritual is incorporated in how you do it. But I think it's a great. I suppose though it has to be a caveat with that, particularly when you're starting to deal with things like that. And you know, I don't think that would necessarily be a good thing for Adam from this documentary to have done, or certain people, because you probably would need to get to, if you've something very demonic in whatever way you want to take that word going on in you probably shouldn't be poking at it without a bit of help.
Yeah. Well, you can see he talks about like all the stuff that he was writing down when he was having his bad thoughts, and I was just sitting there going like, Jesus, like if someone had given him a bit of Carl Jung, he'd have seen straight away what he was, because you know Carl Jung went to the edge of darkness. He almost went insane.
Holding onto his table because he thought his mind was going to snap. Like
Peter Kingsley, the second sponsor of this recent podcast, he nearly went cuckoo bananas as well, writing his book about Carl Jung. But Adam just went a bit too far, and your man does speak about it in this book. He's like, if you're going to do this, make sure you can contact someone who can pull you out of it, because you can get sucked far too deep into your own imagination. And Adam did. That's what his problem was, I think. He just had one too many disco biscuits and went too far into the cave.
Yeah, and the bit where the first kind of arc of Adam's, well, the end of the first arc, I suppose, is what after he's had his nervous breakdown. I think he's schizophrenic is the kind of thing that he's been diagnosed with. I'm not sure that's said that early, but it's his ultimate thing. And so he could tell that he's not. The different kind of medications and stuff he's on aren't helping him. He's like, he makes a point of go like, well, we don't really know what's going on. Here's some medication, you know, might cure you, might give you the shits. We've no idea. I'm sure it's not quite as callous as that, but that's how it's presented. And then you have a couple of experts coming on saying, well, really, we don't know what we're at with, you know, this whole idea of that serotonin affects depressive disorder. You know, we're just guessing. So I don't know how true that is. And you know, I suspect we definitely don't know as much as what, you know, we'd like to think we know about the brain and all that kind of stuff. But so anyway, he at some points decides that I'm giving all of this up because it's not working for me. I'm going to go cold turkey and I'm going to do a 10-day Vipassana retreat. And which is not a good move, I don't think. You know, the number one, you should, like, your body from a physical point of view, you've just been messing around with the chemicals for whatever is, you know, not going to.
Yeah.
But it seems to, ostensibly, it works wonders for him, and he comes back a new man and a new, you know, he went in an alcoholic and a drug addict and antidepressants and depressed, and he came out one with the universe. You know, it was all just you know, that happy, there's the end of the story. We're only 15 minutes into the documentary, so it's probably not the end of the story. So of course he crashes, like, of course he does. He starts getting memories of his grandfather molesting him as a child in a bath, and there's these things that emerge. And then when his parents don't believe him, he starts saying that they did it too, and he spirals into another kind of, I don't know, the thing that he was already in, that he had some sort of you know, really, or some sort of break from, in the sense of like a holiday, not a mental break. And so he ends up homeless, alcoholic, drug addict, gets the shit kicked out of him, gets his jaw wired shut, and, you know, family don't talk to him, the whole thing. But he still has this kind of feeling that the spiritual thing isn't somehow transforming him. But it's not. My problem with Adam's story is how it's not shown. Like, he's just talking about, this lovely group of people who got together, and I meditate every day before I go and sell the drugs. You know, before I take, and I'm going like, okay, so we're kind of making the point that these things mightn't just be, I don't know, a physical, whatever it is in nature, that it might be a spiritual thing, but it's very, you know, and then they're showing, no, he's just having an actual psychotic, physical, non-spiritual breakdown. Yeah. So I just, in his story in particular, I didn't see I didn't see any proof of the premise at all. You know, like, other than he would repeat, I meditate, this has been, you know, this is a spiritual thing rather than a mental thing, and you're going, well, no, it's not. Like, Did you know what I'm saying? Like, did you get...
Yeah, because the thing is with the other character, what was her name? Erica, or it's hard to pronounce.
Ike Ataya. Sorry for...
Sorry, Ataya. Her one was fucking picture perfect. Well, not picture perfect. She, you know, suicide, tried to commit suicide. Like, she was so suicidal that she got checked out of hospital after one suicide with a bunch of pills. She walked literally outside the door, took the whole vial of pills, and ended up back in hospital. Like, that's how sick she was. But she ends up becoming a counsellor for people in similar things. And a few people, I think two or three talking heads said about Adam that he could go on and do the same kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
I'd say that's what the director wanted to happen, to be honest, and that he would become a kind of counsellor, helper for other people. But I don't know. See, the thing is with someone like Adam is that you see this with alcoholics and drug addicts as well. Like, you take a look at someone's life and you're like, whoa, like, that has to be the worst thing ever. But for them, they just haven't hit rock bottom yet. And it's not until they hit it that they're going to realise it. Like the Erica woman, she had, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 suicide attempts before she realised, what the fuck am I at? Like, I should be helping people, you know? So...
And again, her thing came from like a childhood trauma and unable to cope with it. Yeah. And even again, with her, I didn't see where it was a spiritual crisis rather than, you know, a trauma. You know, I wasn't getting...
Okay, because one of them, you know your man that's in it who's wearing the scarf, he looks like a...
I can't... Well, there was a number of talking heads.
He looks like Gabriel Byrne. He looks like Gabriel Byrne.
Yes.
He had a lovely scarf on. He looks like he's great in bed.
Italian,
kind of French.
Yeah, French Italian, some sort of European.
He looked sexy, man. He'd ravish you. He'd absolutely ravish you.
I'll get his name.
And
Gabor Mate, is that guy, isn't it?
I don't know what the hell his name is.
Let's say
like Gabriel Byrne. All right, fucking.
Let me see.
Separate apart. So he says.
Yeah.
All of these things come from trauma.
He's Hungarian, by the way. There's our racism coming through.
Still sexy, you know, and not too far from Italy, I suppose, in the grand scheme of things. He says that all these things come from trauma, you know. And I'm watching this thinking, okay, Adam, you can see his trauma. He was molested by his grandparents. This other lady was also molested by her old man, and then my mate was molested by a few people. And it's like, you can see where this break is, and the reason that it becomes so bad growing up is that you can't talk about it. So you have to swallow this event and try and make sense of it yourself, and you can't because you're a child.
Yeah.
Like, even when you're 21 or something, you're still a fucking child. Like, you don't know what's going on in the fucking world, you know? And you have this baggage and horror with you your whole life. It's no wonder you have a fucking psychotic. I was watching that thinking last night, like, do you know what? I'm so fucking lucky that I went to my therapy when I did. And I haven't gone through any horrible, nasty trauma or nothing like that. But I was just thinking, like, my kids are teenagers. I'm putting them through it as well, just to go and talk to someone who's objective, maybe not objective, but someone who can point in the right direction and say, look, it's not your parents' fault that you're this way. Your parents are people as well, you know.
Yeah.
kind of thing, you know.
Well, I mean, in a sense, it is your parents' fault, but it's no one's fault. I mean, this is the nature of life.
Course.
Yeah. And it works for you one, Akaya, whatever her name, again, apologies, in that it was our father or stepfather, whoever it was, father. And so the parents had obviously split at that point, and she told the mother didn't believe her, and eventually remarried your man again. So much so, like I don't believe you, and I also am taking his side. Like, how do you cope with that? How do you cope with that?
How do you cope with that?
Yeah. Well, what she coped with it was not well, and she loses her kids, and hers. I thought her. This is terrible. I thought her arc was better. Like, Jesus, if I'm judging someone's life, you know, you had a much more interest. Yeah, you know, as a movie, like. But what I mean more, it was seemed closer aligned to what they were trying to do, the premise of the film, because she actually then went off and, you know, she goes, I'm going to, you know, take what I've learned from this and become a healer. And it wasn't kind of a weekend workshop or hanging out playing bongos in a cafe, which is what Adam is doing, which, you know, is fine. Like, you do what you want. But she went, whatever it was, a 1.5 full-time course thing where she, you know, got embedded in a tradition and, you know,
Yeah, an old shamanic African
yeah.
tradition kind of fucking look pretty cool, like.
Yeah, so I find that's the thing where it's like don't get me wrong, my heart bleeds for Adam, and it's a horrible story, and absolutely, I don't know how he even manages to do what he does, but it just it didn't go anywhere. He didn't. As you say, I assume the director was looking for, and then he cured the world. And there was people, some of the talking heads had similar things. Like there was one guy who had and he's very much doing the work, and he's all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just there's a danger, I think, in it that I found being hanging around as I do in these kind of circles, of people thinking because they've had a psychotic break that they now can heal other people. And I'm going, you were the worst person to try and heal other people, particularly in a Facebook group or something. But it happens, and I think you could watch this documentary and start your own healing practice. Think that you have the ability to do that. Whereas if you're Adam in the middle of one of his higher moments, like say at the end, he ends up living with his dad again, and they're going to drink beers together, or he's coming over, he gets a house, he's not homeless anymore, his dad's going to come over, but I think ultimately he does live with his dad. And he goes, right, I'm in a great place, I'm going to start healing people, I'm going to bring it round. But I mean, if that documentary had been filming for another 3 months, I'm pretty sure he's going to dip again. And if you're in the middle of, I don't know, some sort of intensive work with, a group of meditative people, or, you're doing meditation kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not good. And I suspect an awful lot of the kind of, when you hear all of these stories of, leaders in the spiritual circles or whatever, and then, that there's something mad. I'd say it comes from an awful lot of people just thinking they've fixed their trauma, or have some sort of spiritual authority now because of this, shamanic healer.
Yeah.
The
but
wounded healer.
It's like, isn't it that like psychologists are supposed to go and see psychologists?
Sure, yeah. And not should, or, they have to.
They have to,
yeah.
And I'd say with a lot of the, I'm a healer, I'd say a lot of them don't, So this is the thing, like you can go onto Reddit any day of the week and look at the Carl Jung subreddit, and there's loads of posts about, I've just heard about this integrating the shadow, how do I do it? It's like,
yeah.
Well, it's not, no, you don't. You can't integrate it. You live with it. You identify it, and you can talk to it, or you can't. There's no way to fully integrate it. It's always going to be there.
Yeah,
it's going to be there.
It's what I mean. I suppose there is an individuation process, and it's called a process because it's ongoing, and maybe there is. Yeah,
but it doesn't end.
No, it doesn't
end.
Yeah.
So, and it's the thing with like, it looked like with this Erica lady that she has the trauma and she carries it and it doesn't weigh her down. Whereas with Adam's not there yet.
No.
But please God, he'll get there eventually.
Please God, yeah.
But that's the thing as well with lots of people, they can kind of say, maybe I'll become a healer and all that. It's like, you don't have to be a healer.
No, but that's it too. There's immense pressure, and then, I've had mental issues. What? No, you have to heal the world because it's good. Let me heal myself, please.
Heal yourself. Look after yourself first. Sort yourself out first, and then look after other people. I think that's the best way to kind of look at life. Because, Jesus, like how many people? I've been guilty of this as well. Like a lot of people do it with like their first relationship. They take on a charity case. I know mine was. Right, my first girlfrine was a.
I assume I was always the charity case in all the relationships. So.
No, but but a lot of people do it, and I've seen tons and tons of people do the exact same thing as me. If you end up in a relationship with someone, things go weird and bad, and all this baggage, and you're just like, okay, yeah, I'll help you. And then, 15 years later, you're like 3 kids and you hate this woman and you're like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
How did it come to this? Whereas that, like, luckily, I fucking woke up and I went, no, this isn't normal. No, I'm out. Yeah. Look, you're on your own. Because there is something mentioned in the film, is that it's when the Erica lady and her best friend fall out.
Oh yeah, because she's
I can't help you anymore. She's not supportive. I can't help you anymore. This is as far as I can help you. And like,
I kind of throws that thing in the face, which it's horrible. But I understand why people do it. It's like, you just want to be like this. It's your fault, or that kind of whatever it was, the exact words were saying, like, you...
Yeah, that's not how I'd put it, because I've had to do this to people. You know, it's like, I can't help you because you don't want to help yourself.
Yeah, but that's because you understand it. But that isn't what she said, though. You know, that it's like, it's more akin to that kind of... Because, you know, she does agree that she was wrong after. Like, it's more kind of, you're doing this. You know, it's not, you need to, you know, not the, you need to sort this out. It's kind of, it's a dismissive kind of thing, which I don't think you're pointing to, because I mean you've done it to me at times, so I know how you approach that. Like,
I just I think there's not too many, but there's many cases where people just fall into a thing of constantly always helping someone instead of helping themselves, and also realizing you're not ready to be helped. You have further to fall down.
But also the thing as well is that is ultimately you're personally responsible for this thing. It's like your parents might have done it to you, but you know it's only you who can do it, and it's not the relationship you're in. You shouldn't get into a relationship in the hope that it will fix you. Which God, like I mean, we all do that at different times. Like, but like I mean, hopefully you do it once and then not do it again. Like, you know, or it's not your. You know, in the case of even your one used. Possibly to say the wrong language or the wrong descriptor for how she was trying to say you have to sort this out. It's also not her responsibility to fix you either.
No, of course not.
You know,
it's nobody's.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's equally
Absolutely
to say
nobody's.
that it does, like there's a difference between responsibility, I think, and fault. You can be
Yeah.
responsibility, but not your
Do you know
fault.
what? There was something that my psychologist said to me fairly early on in meeting her, and it was like, because I was having problems figuring out certain friendships I had, you know. And she said something very simple. She's like, look, friendship is a two-way street. So if you're not getting back what you're putting into something, why are you friends with them?
Yeah.
Do you know? And like, a fucking light bulb. Like, it's such a simple thing, but I couldn't see it. Fucking light bulb went off, and that was it. I just cut the
90% of your friends just gone.
No, my only friend is on Skype, Tommie Kelly, you know. Feels sorry for me, lets me do a podcast. Doesn't even put this out, he just pretends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it only appears in your feed. It's a whole ruse. I have to sit there and type in comments pretending I'm other people. And
but not anymore, not after this podcast, because he's like, was Spud fucking realise I'm helping him? So fuck you. There was something good. There was another good bit I liked about it. And one of the doctors said that it's in our kind of Western mythology that that there are crazy people and there are sane people, and they're two different things, you know.
Yeah.
But he was saying, no, well, look, we're all on the same kind of spectrum. And then there was another one who came out and says, look, like there's this methodology book where you take a test in American psychology, where you take a test, you do a 50 answer test, and it'll tell you kind of what.
Oh,
the problem is, you know?
yeah.
It's bizarre, you know. But there's even like they show a page of the book. There's a treatment for coffee withdrawal. I mean, water. That's it. Just drink water, you know. Yeah. and he was saying that like if any like normal person did it, in inverted commas, if any normal person did it, they would also be found to have.
They'll find something. Definitely.
We all have something. It's just we're coping with whatever.
I think their
we
point
have,
was more that the fact that we, you know, it would make everyone have one of these, whatever, mental illnesses, is that the way that it's diagnosed is probably not good, you know, or you know that if you're looking for something, because there was one guy he was going to.
Well, I mean, there's kind of a conspiratorial vibe to it as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah, everything science is bad. Big pharma.
No, not the science is bad. Put it that way. Everything is what's the word? Diagnosticable.
Yeah.
Therefore, you can be drugged. You know.
Yeah.
Which is true, but like for many things, you don't really need. Like, someone else was on your Discord talking about ADHD and Adderall in America. ADHD is a thing I have a fucking. It's an itch I have a scratch for, or scratch I have an itch for, whatever the fuck that's.
Whatever it is, yeah.
Because I remember reading years ago that France doesn't have ADHD.
Right.
Just doesn't have it, which isn't true. But it's one of these things that comes up on the internet. In France, there's no ADHD, but in America, it affects 6% of all people or whatever. ADHD is in France. It's just treated in a completely different way.
Yeah, or called something else or whatever.
I don't know. It's still called ADHD, but it's treated completely different. You're not given drugs. You're just not given drugs. And it's the same here in... I looked it up last night as well. It's almost the same here in Poland. In extreme cases, people will be given drugs for it, but only in the most extreme cases. Therapy is the first port of call. Yeah. So it is. Because it's kind of seen here as well, ADHD, your kid's overreactive. He needs to calm down. He needs a hobby.
Let's give him speed.
He needs to talk to someone. Yeah, whereas in America, it's like, let's give him speed and caffeine and Adderall. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? But like, as well, like, me and you watching this, we have to not be aware of our cultural kind of biases, but like, when we're looking at this and we see that, like, Americans are all drugged up and they're just like, doctors are happy to fucking prescribe anything to anyone. Whereas, like, over here, like, me and you have been to therapy. Yeah. Okay, it was through choice, but there's often, like, I mean, you'll hear of, juvenile delinquents and stuff like that, to use a very archaic term. I don't know what's used anymore. But, like, a young lad, say he breaks car mirrors or something one night, he's drunk, he walks up the street, he kicks off 5 or 6 of them, like, in America he's 3 strikes and you're out kind of thing, but in Ireland and most of Europe it's like, nah, look, you need to talk to someone because there's something going on with you, buddy. And he's put into therapy and hopefully he's fixed, So, it's a far better way of doing it. Like, you watched, I don't know, like, I wonder if any of the Discord Americans watch it and think, oh jeez, this is awful, because, like, I'm looking at it going, it's a different approach in Europe. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then every country in Europe is going to be kind of different as well. Like, I think Ireland over-prescribes compared to, say, Poland.
Oh, but definitely. Isn't there not something like 4 out of 10 people in Ireland are on antidepressants or some sort of...
That's mental. Like, it's such a fucking easy option. I remember going to, I told you this before, I remember going to a doctor up around Capel Street where I was living, and I went in, his doctor, I'm feeling a bit bad. He's, okay, what do you want? I'm like, can I talk to someone? Well, I can get you Prozac. No, can you set up a meeting? I can talk to someone. Prozac? Okay.
I went to the doctor with a rash in my foot and he tried to give me antidepressants. And I'm not joking you.
For fuck's sake, like. Yeah.
Oh, and he said, I have the free samples, so it won't cost you anything.
Free fucking samples? Yeah. What the fuck is going on? Like, it's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. There's one other thing, though, in this documentary that I had an issue with, and it's just kind of lumping in therapy and drugs as the same thing and dismissing both of them as not being inferior to some sort of ill-defined or undefined shamanic.
I didn't think
there's definitely one line in it where he goes, and what we do in the West, just fill them with drugs or send them to therapy, and it's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, but therapy's okay. I don't have a problem with therapy.
Yeah, but it isn't if you're trying to put forward the idea that what we need is a spiritual solution. We need to go to the forest and I don't know.
But I mean, therapy can be spiritual if it's done properly.
100%. That's the like that way I did. I went, no, I'm not buying that. I think Adam needs therapy. There's no question of it. I don't think him going to the jungle and drinking ayahuasca is going to help him at all. Or whatever. But that's again, there was no answer to it. It was like, oh, we need a spiritual solution. How about give us some suggestions.
There was a big a big mistake in the documentary in that, like, he would use these examples of people from kind of shamanic backgrounds, whether they be in South America, Nepal, Tibet, Kenya, and they would have these spiritual kind of awakenings or breakdowns during puberty ages, And what I didn't like was that he used these people as a kind of reference of that. Well, these people had psychotic episodes and were hearing voices and noises and things that weren't there, but they went on to become successful shamans and now they're medicine men or whatever. But, like, none of them are fucking interviewed.
No, that's it.
Not one of them is interviewed. Yeah. And, like, oh, well, I couldn't interview them because I don't speak Swahili. Well, use a fucking translator. Yeah. What the fuck? People speak Nepalese in Nepal, you know. fucking moron.
Yeah, I assume that they just didn't go and talk to them like they would like to.
But he had footage of him. He was there beside
I know,
someone.
but
in the footage, he's sitting
he's in
beside
it,
him.
right,
It's like,
right,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
talk to the woman. No. Shut up. Yeah, that was a big mistake.
That's like that's from a filmmaking mistake rather than well, no, it's not, because it still speaks to my point of there's no solution actually given. It's just kind of a airy fairy new age kind of become a shaman. You know, mental health means you're a shaman. Even though it kind of says a number of times, not everyone will become a shaman, but it's kind of as if terms and conditions apply. You know?
But I mean, you know, I still do kind of like the argument though that like a psychotic break or is you trying to be told by something. Wake the fuck up! You know, be it a demon, an angel, whatever the fuck you want to call it, demon. Just be like, oh shit, this is something I need to fucking deal with, because like I know people who have had terrible times and you're just like, it's staring you in the face, buddy.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I have to kind of correct myself. I do think these are spiritual crises, and like it's that there's no way of dealing it. We've no way of dealing with it as a spiritual crisis in our society. That I think labeling it as a spiritual crisis isn't helping anyone, particularly if you, like as Adam happened when he went to the Vipassana retreat and he had this thing where he started having memories, that they were ill-equipped to deal with him. You know, in a meditation, you know, you're going, well, just went, well, you have to go now, you have to leave. And you go, well, if you have a spiritual crisis and you go to get the spiritual treatment and then the thing happens that you're there for, and oh, no, we've no idea, where you go. You're going, well, like, what good is that? You know,
it's like I told you a few weeks ago about my mate, not my mate, your man Kevin, who said he was molested by his uncle or something at the retreat.
Oh yeah, repeat the story.
We're at this Christian retreat and we're doing a meditation. Everyone's lying on the ground.
Oh, and he was brought out of the room and then he came back and went, I'm only messing, only kidding you.
I'm only messing, no, what? So did your uncle do it? Alright, okay.
But that's it. Like, I mean, if you're, like, say, in that kind of retreat setting where, you know, you're more firmly in the spiritual kind of area of things than you are in the science thing at that point, because, you know, and trying to help people and uncover things, and, you know, but it's kind of, you know, don't uncover too much. I'm talking about that, you know, maybe could you go on a diet or something, you know, keep it in that level, you know, but don't actually open up or have a spiritual crisis at all. And if you do, you have to go out of the room. And
it's like going into confession and like giving him like actual sins, and the priest is like, whoa.
That's not what we do here.
No. It's supposed to be like swearing at my mother, thinking about sex, and I kicked the dog. That's what you're allowed. You're not allowed to idolize suicide. No.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I liked it more than you, but maybe it's because I didn't pick up on that line about therapy that you're focusing on so much. Because for me, I came away from it just thinking, right, if anything was to happen to me, I don't want drugs. I just want therapy.
Yeah.
You know, because that way I can see it as a spiritual thing, you know, whereas... But I don't know, like, I mean, fuck knows, because they don't really go into... They say that, one of them mentions as well, that only a third of people with schizophrenia in the West recover from it, or something like that. Whereas there's 2/3 of people in Eastern traditions. But we don't have a clue. None of the treatments are shown or given or anything like that. So
the whole thing feels very incomplete. Like, it's... as if the premise alone is enough to kind of validate the entire thing, and you kind of go, no, it isn't. Yeah. Because
I mean, let's not be too harsh on him. He's a photographer. No,
I would still
he's not a film director. He's
I would absolutely recommend this film. Like,
it's very good.
Yeah. It's and the fact that the issues it raises is worth a conversation. You know, that kind of thing. It's definitely worth the thing. And it's a conversation. Why I wanted to do the documentary is because I want to have the conversation. I think it's a worthwhile conversation.
It's great. Yeah. Sit down with your girlfriend, boyfriend, lover, whatever, and talk about it and see where you are, if you're on the same page with stuff like this. I think it's really interesting. Really, really interesting.
I think my kind of trepidation or apprehension around as well is being, as I've seen, in a group like CMG, which is an awful lot of attracts a certain type of people in many different ways. And seeing,
don't say the C word, Spud. Don't say the C word.
But having met virtually, obviously, but still having had interactions and relations with people very like Adam, I just kind of don't think the solution, being that they were coming to try and find an answer and ended up in a Chaos Magic group on Facebook looking for the answer, I don't think that necessarily that we should be saying things like, all you're doing is having a spiritual crisis, you need a spiritual response, whatever. I think it should be, you might need the drugs, because the drugs work for a lot of people. Let's not just dismiss it out of hand as saying, because my experience of antidepressants are such a way. I know people who's that changed their lives, absolutely, and it was, great for them and stuff like that. I would be hesitant just because we don't have the structures. We don't even know what that means. A spiritual response to mental illness. What is that? We don't know, other than, and I think kind of saying, because we have this thing in spiritual circles, because we don't have a tradition. We've talked about this before, other than, say, Christianity or kind of some sort of vague notion of Gnosticism or, maybe New Age. But New Age is very, I'm going to pick what I want. Mm-hmm. So there's no tradition, and someone was saying earlier on in the video I was watching, it was your man I was telling you about, I can't pronounce his name, it's John Vavarak, whatever his name, and he was saying that the tradition should be something that challenges you out of your narcissism. And I go, wow, that's the thing I've always been trying to point to when we were talking about, say, the Star Ruby, or why people, immediately just pull things apart and do it the way they want to do it. Yeah. And it's like that's why a tradition is important, because it doesn't allow you to do that. You have to do the things that are, you have to take the communion with the wine, rather than just take, gluten-free wine. Oh, it reminds me, you have a story for me. The gluten-free communion. No, I'm not doing that. I'll have the wine. So you're just picking the wine. You go, no, this is the package, and you have to do the things you don't want. And I think that kind of saying, oh, you need a spiritual response to your mental breakdown isn't challenging enough in that it's going to allow you to just do what you want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've lost these things, because, like, I don't know if you know, in the Irish language, the word for disabled people is, Jesus, what is it now? I think it's Dinayia or something like that, which means God's people.
Oh, right, okay.
So there's this belief from thousands of years ago that people who were with cuckoo bananas, they were closer to God than the rest of us.
Right, okay.
So the idea.
Like the shamanic sense of it, like the same.
Exactly like that. So obviously the Celts and the Irish did have this thing. So the Irish are older than the Celts. The Celts came in, and replaced us. So there is this tradition that we probably did have that is only, a remnants of it is only left in the language.
Yeah, now, and I think we should try to uncover it. I mean, it's definitely, I think it will be a better solution than what we currently have. But we don't have it now, and so I don't think we should recommend it. Yeah. I think that's kind of my point.
At the same time, I don't know, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with, going to a priest or going to a nun.
No, but it's kind of put forward in the stop your drugs, go on a Vipassana retreat, because you come back a completely different person. That's I think, well, and that's not quite what to do in the other story, but definitely in the Adam story, which is the predominant story. Like it takes up most of the thing. It just I don't know. I think it could lead people astray. And that's my worry. And having, as I say, as I'm repeating, having come across people like Adam, I think they could watch that documentary and it would not help them. But I think I think people should all watch that documentary so that we can whatever, it's a couple of years old, and that thing has been started previous to this.
Who's that woman? There's a DJ on News Talk, and she's such a fucking, what do you call those people who stand on soapboxes? Soapboxing. Yeah. Soapboxing. She's a doctor, and she's like, we need to start having a conversation.
I know.
You're literally on the fucking radio.
I know, yeah.
You're talking.
Yeah.
We need to have a conversation. What do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
You dumbass.
Well, I think it's pointing, in my case, I think it's pointing that other than me and Spud, I think societally we need to start having this conversation.
Yeah, because I mean, well, we're not fucking doctors, but
yeah,
you know, we've both been through therapy and through shit, and we can look back now because we're in our. Well, I'm nearly 40. You're 40s, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you can look back and just be like, right, okay, yeah, I did that a bit stupidly, and I won't do it again. So you know, I learned. But like when you're young, you don't know anything. You don't know any better.
Yeah.
You just kind of do what everyone else does, or you do what's expected of you. But like, yeah, I don't know. I'd be reluctant anyway, and I'm lucky that I was, even back then when I asked the doctor that time. I was reluctant. I didn't want to take anything, and I didn't take anything.
Yeah.
You know? But then again, like, I mean, you know, I was happy enough to walk 2 or 3 streets over and buy some fucking hash.
Yeah.
Fuck knows who, you know?
Yeah.
And, oh yeah, I'm not going to trust those drugs that are good for my brain, but like, I'll totally buy something that was smuggled in fucking...
Up someone's ass.
Hash? No, yeah, but Jesus. You have to have a big arse for fucking 9 ounces of hash.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Watch it. Look, it got me and Aga talking last night and about the subject, and you know, me and you were obviously talking about it here.
Yeah.
It's good. It's made a little. Yeah, it's in a whole shot in 4K or something, and you can really see people's spots. I hate 4K. I fucking hate 4K. It drives me mental. So it does. Like you can just see how ugly people are. You know? And most of us are hideously ugly. You know,
and you may get used to it because it's YouTube have upgraded to 8K now as well.
We're all pink on the inside. That's the bit that I like the most, you know. And it's just like 4K where you can just see like everyone's blackheads and stuff. You know, no, just do it in normal HD. It's fine. You don't need to see what's growing on under his fucking mustache. You know. Yeah. 4K.
You have a story about the...
it's not much of a story. You were saying to me last night.
Yeah.
What was it? You were saying to me what? What was it?
I came out... Being the kind of weird research I sometimes have to do for either podcasts or the comic or whatever I'm doing, I end up in very strange places. And where I ended up this time was a shop in Ireland that was selling gluten-free communion wafers. And I sent you a message going, I have seen it fucking all now.
Well, the last time I was home, because you know the uncle's a priest, yeah? So last time I was home, we were up at his house, we burned the car, and he was giving us the birth cert, or not birth cert, the baptismal cert for the young one. And he was on this Polish website, and he says, Aga, will you help me out here with something? So I say, I'm trying to buy communion hosts from Poland because they're a lot cheaper.
Right.
But I can't buy them. They won't let me use the... And this is kind of not... It's not that it's... It happens a good bit in Poland. These kind of older websites, they don't have the facilities for credit card payment. Everything is done by bank transfer. Like, it's totally normal. Like, hundreds of people have my bank account number. Hundreds. Yeah. Literally hundreds have it. But... It's just something like you just can't steal from the bank because you need tons of ID. Whereas in Ireland, like, you know, people will give you their deepest, darkest secrets before they'll ever tell you their bank account.
Like that.
Because bank workers in Ireland are so fucking lazy that I can go in with Tommie's bank account number and say, yeah, I'm Tommie Kelly. I need to take out all my money. I'm changing bank. Oh, why are you changing bank? Well, they've no fees on the bank next door. Well, yeah. But don't blame you. Here's your money.
Here's your money.
You walk out. Whereas in Poland, you can't do that. You know, you'll need fucking 4 or 5 different forms of ID and all kinds of mad stuff. Anyway, and we're trying to figure this out. And Aga's like, look, sure, I mean, I can pay for them, and we'll get them sent to our house, and then we'll post them to you. No, that's a lot of bother. It'll take too long. No bother to. Sure, I'll send them an email. Okay, I'll send them an email. So Aga writes out an email to the whoever was running this Polish communion host website and says, look, we want to buy this much. How can we pay? And so they write back and no, we can't sell them. Your man in Ireland has there's a fucking what's the word for it I said yesterday?
Monopoly.
There's a monopoly on communion hosting. You can only buy them. What was
the word you said?
Was it monopoly? There's only one. It's like a cartel.
Cartel, yeah, cartel.
There's only that's it. There's a communion wafer cartel operating all across Europe, Catholic Europe, and you can only buy it from certain people in certain places. And they're like, they gave Frank the name and the phone number of the person to buy it from, and Frank said, "Yo, sure, I know him. That's who I usually buy it from." Yeah. That's it. You can only buy it. It's like, why can't I buy it from there? I said, no, monopoly. Mad, innit?
And
There's
is
a
it
place-
like, I assume it's just bread, like I mean, if I buy it, it's not the body and blood of Christ. Like, I mean, some guy in a black shirt and a white
isn't it
collar
supposed
has to.
come from? No, it's not. It's made. The ones in Wexford anyway. What do you call those? Secret orders. Is that what they're called? Where you're not allowed in and see the nuns.
Yeah, okay,
Is
yeah.
that what they're called?
Oh, yeah.
There's a secret order. There's one of them in New Ross anyway, and
Right.
they make loads of it for the south of Ireland.
Right. But is it consecrated? Like, if I had bought that gluten-free one, like, is it official Christ's body? Like,
it's host, but it's not consecrated. You're supposed to get a priest, but actually you can.
Oh, the
consecrate
mass is
yourself,
like, so it's not bloody.
Yeah. But you can do that yourself. You don't need a priest to do that. I mean, you're supposed to, but like, you're also having
And
to do it
does
yourself.
it have the secret telemic ingredient in this one?
I don't know. It's always, my ma used to give out what they call it. She still does actually. Used to gives out communion at mass.
Oh, well,
on Sundays.
you have to do a course for that, and you
Used
have to get your
to-
hands
nah,
blessed.
no,
Get
she was-
hands blessed or something, isn't it? What
Oh,
is it?
maybe.
Yeah.
She used to do it anyway. I don't know. I think she still does it every now and again when she goes. And we were talking one day, and because in Catholic Church, Protestant churches, you can take the Eucharist, which isn't the body of Christ, it's a symbol for it. Whereas in
Okay.
Catholicism, it is the body of Christ.
Oh, for sure.
But you don't drink the wine after. Whereas in Protestant church, I'm not sure it's all of them, but in a lot of them, you can have a drink of the wine as well. You know.
Well, technically, we are meant to be allowed to have the wine. It's just the priest
but
keep
I've
it to himself.
I've never seen it in Catholic masses. and
I've seen it
been-
once ever.
Once,
I was
yeah.
at midnight mass 20 years ago for Christmas
Yeah.
midnight mass, and
never
I
seen
was
it.
going, I'll have the wine, thanks very
I
much.
was sure of that. But then, like, my brother was asking, what's the taste like? And she says, it tastes like wine. It was watered down wine. That's what it
wine,
tastes like. And I was like, no, man, it's blood. She went, no. I said, do you not believe it's blood? No.
How dare you?
And you're giving out communion and you don't even believe it is what it is.
Yeah.
And like my uncle was there and he's like looking at us, just like, well, obviously it's the blood of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's what it's turned into. And my mum was like, oh, no.
There's a great line in FIFA Vendetta where V is giving communion to this kind of very corrupt paedophile priest, like the what words for it, and is given the body of Christ, whatever. So, I've poisoned this, but as soon as you bless it, it becomes the body of Christ. So in theory, if you eat this, you won't die.
You'll be fine. Yeah, I'm not taking
What do
that
you think happens?
Yeah. Sure, look. One of the lads got drunk on communion wine one time. We were all the boys. That was good crack. God, he got in trouble that time.
What's the Orthodox thing where the spoon out? Is it meat or something that they get, or what? It has to be still bread, I assume, but it looks meaty. You ever seen them doing that? I seen a great video during the week of an Orthodox church where you get the spoon or whatever, and then you're meant to wipe your mouth, but they're using the same cloth for everyone. And it's like going, COVID anyone? COVID, no COVID.
Yeah, so that's the cartel, the communion wafer cartel of Europe. Please do something against this. This fucking omerta.
Surely that's illegal. You can't have monopolies you can have official state-sponsored monopolies, but you can't have private. So are you saying that the cartel is a state-run?
By the Vatican, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
So obviously, the Vatican has its little things across the place. It's weird, because like in that what do you call it? I can't remember this word. It's not a monasteries, monks, and abbess.
Convent.
Convent. What the fuck is wrong with me? I can never remember convent. At the convent, you can't see the sisters, but you can actually buy the stuff from them. But then obviously your man just has. Obviously, there's a few places around Ireland that make them, and then he sells them to the churches or whatever. So it's obviously a racket. Yeah. Obviously, it's a racket.
But I suppose, is it any different than the way milkmen have rounds or breadmen have rounds? Is it the same? I bought this company. I bought these. This is my area.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But sure. Yeah. Yeah. It always, that's not the one thing, but there were a few things that kind of got me thinking about growing up Catholic. It's like, It's like, I remember, do you remember Richard Branson's Virgin Company? They had this big ad campaign, Virgin, it's not a dirty word. It's like,
Yeah.
Ma, why does it say that? Well, virgin is before a woman gets married. What?
Yeah.
It's before she sleeps with a man. Okay. Mary, Ma, yeah. She did. How did she get pregnant? By God. What?
Yeah, she got fingered by the Holy Spirit.
I was like, so that was one thing, and then another thing was like, wait, whoa. We're eating someone's body here?
I know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the vampire religion.
I'm not into this anymore. Can I be a Protestant? No.
No, yeah, definitely not.
Anyway. Right, Tommie.
Right, well, happy birthday, happy anniversary, and next week is the big conjunction, so we'll have to do something for that.
Oh yeah,
we missed the eclipse, which is fine. The eclipses are which is very interesting. People were doing loads. Well, they were doing loads of magic around, and you go, no, harbingers of doom, leave the eclipse alone. Don't do anything. It signifies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well,
it's full moon. Full moon. You're supposed to do your magic, isn't it?
Full moon, yeah, but you can only have an eclipse in a full moon. But it's historically, traditionally, it's a harbinger of doom.
Yeah, but isn't the moon full all the fucking time anyway? You know what I mean? It's always there.
From the perspective of humanity, it's not. I suppose. Well, it is if you are on the right side of it. I suppose. Whatever.
Yeah, but it goes around the Earth every fucking day. You know what I mean? So like.
Yeah, but it shows the same
doesn't
face. It spins at exactly the same. No, it does, but it rotates at exactly the same rate as it goes round, so it always shows the same space of the same face. It was very peculiar. That seems designed.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, it's hollow.
Wait, now, so do you mean in Australia they don't see the same face that we see?
No, everyone sees the same face. It's exactly the same, and the same as we have the full moon, and at the exact same time we have eclipses at different times because the Earth moves in relation to the sun. But yeah, we only see the dark side of the moon. We never see because as it moves around, it moves at exactly the same rate, spins that it now. Yeah.
Why don't they just send a camera up there and then we could see it?
Oh, they have. Jack Parsons' craters on the dark side of the moon, which is fitting.
That's pretty cool, all right. And how is there pictures of it?
Yeah, I mean it's only the dark side of the moon from our perspective. Like,
I must look it up then.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
We'll
it looks very, very similar to the other side of the moon, only a bit darker.
Is it? Okay. It's not like there's a country of Nazis or anything living up there.
Oh no, and glass.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Glass monuments and that
Pink Floyd
and David Icke going, where's all my laughter? Why is the moon taking all my laughter? Where's all my joy?
Right. So we're not going to tell people what we're going to do next week, but it's going to blow your fucking minds.
Yeah.
But we should also, I don't know, we shouldn't do it live.
Well, I think we should. I don't want to do it live.
No, we won't do it live. But I think we should do a live thing as well, though.
Yeah.
Something else.
Yeah. We might do a live Q&A. That could be an interesting one.
Yeah, we could do that. And there'll all be questions for you, and I can make fun of you.
No, well, I'll have more of my 100 questions, getting to know your questions. Because the live thing can be good with the Q&A because it feels like everyone's having a chat. Rather than...
Spud, I have a question for you from John.
John.
There's no John. There's no John.
Have you ever picked your nose and then edit?
Oh, my young one is doing that at the minute.
Man.
She's going hell for leather. She's 2, but she is fucking loving this thing. And I'm just like, pick a winner every time. I love it. And while Aga's like, don't do that, it's disgusting. And I'm like, it's hilarious. Bye-bye.
Bye.